So the question is, should we do a transition right here afterwards as well? So yeah, we should actually do this. We should support transitioning to a wanted state in this state as well. So we will transition, we'll have set our next wanted state, we're going to transition to it, then we'll update it. Alright, excellent. That's what's going on. So this will fix our one frame glitch. Order of operations. You're like, okay, why is this happening when it shouldn't happen? And the other thing I could do is I could call like transition to state immediately, but I don't really want to do that because there's no reason to. Not in this one. So let's see. And he definitely looks smooth with that jump. Spring. Of course, you know, when he's running, we're not playing the correct animation for the running jump yet. So that's not a problem. We're also not playing the correct animations while we're in the air, but that's just another thing. Boing, boing. Alright, I'm gonna need to take a couple minute break here. Just a quick bio break, and I'll be back, and we will get the animations. I'll just leave Bitey here, doing his thing. And I'll be back in just a couple minutes, so you can watch Bitey look around and get all upset. Alright, we're gonna get back to getting this jump animation hooked up properly. But I mean, this is also pretty cool stuff. Like, usually what happens when you are working on games, one person will go implement something like, you know, making it so that the jump animations show up, and then all of a sudden, like, the guy who made the jump animations will be like, oh man, you know, I can go put more cool shit in this game now. And so when there's, hopefully we'll get some good energy off of, you know, making some progress with some art, and Adam will be super happy with, like, oh man, we get like the board animation. Then he'll like go make a really cool board animation. You know, him kicking a fat sack around. You know, he like pulls a fat sack out of his pocket, kicks it, puts it back in his pocket. I don't know. He doesn't have pockets, so I don't know where the hell he'd put a fat sack, but who knows. So what we need to do is... You're saying Adam's lazy? No, I'm not saying Adam's lazy. I'm saying none of his shit has been properly implemented in the game. So so when he's like making all these amazing animations in Harmony, all of a sudden, like, it kind of dries up when he can't get him to play, you know, when Bitey's running around. He's just like, well, you know. Kind of like we've got... This isn't even all the animations, right? So all that... Because, like, you know, the crouch and stuff like that is some other stuff that we'll want to, like, put in there. We probably won't get to it today, though. I'm actually going to take a quick look at what Dead Cells that he's playing. He's still going. It's like 1 in the morning over there. And, of course, he's dead and just... reviving. Alright, that's pretty much every single time I've seen him play Dead Cells. He's just dead. I guess that kind of makes sense. Well, hopefully, I'd like to get the jump all nice and smooth and everything. Yeah, he just died. I expect so. So what I want to do is I've got the stationary jump. It looks like we don't have a jump for anything else. Oh no, we have a trot jump, a running jump, and all that. Alright, so the first thing we should do is pick a better jump animation. So let's go to our gameplay, player logic. So we're going to go to the jump function, which is this, and what we want is we want the correct name. So we're going to want to get the name for our jump. Okay, so how are we going to get that? Right now, the thing that knows how fast we're going is the movement controller. So I can get the movement and cast it to a Bitey movement controller. I guess that's just as good as anything else, right? And we need a local variable, which is going to be the jump animation name. So we'll have it defaulted to stationary jump. Okay, so we're going to cast to a Bitey movement controller. We're also going to, like, we're on the ground if we're trying to jump. So we already know that we are on the ground at this point, not in the air. Otherwise, we'd be up doing that sort of stuff. So what we want to do is, let's see. we want to get the speed of this thing. And we want to do this. So we've got this threshold multigate 5. Bam. And so this cast succeeded. So what is this walk speed? Read the value of the variable walk speed. No, we want to grab movement. Yeah, as Bitey, we want get walk speed. Like this. We could also call like get animation for blah, but alright, so let's take a look at these. So is none output is stationary, walk, trot. All right. And let's see what they actually have implemented. So for right now, it looks like we've got stationary jump, we have trot jump, and then we have running jump. And those are the only ones that we've got. Right, so that's walk, trot, run. So we'll just hook everything else up to things like that. So why don't we actually make this into a function right here. And we'll call it like get jump animation name. And what we'll do is we need a return value. So output is going to be anim name, and that's going to be a string. Alright, so a local variable named anim name. so just like this, and then we need a get animation name over here. And this thing's upset at the moment just because of what I've got. This is like so many noodles getting put together so that we may have pasta. Alright, so we can save that, and then we can basically call that from our jump function. As opposed to doing all this stuff, I can actually get rid of this jump anim name and this, and all we are going to do is we're going to call get jump animation name, put it in here. And I can just throw it right like this. So let's see if our jump works. So stationary jump, running jump, cool. That looks like it works pretty well. And Adam can go fill in the actual animations as he wants. So it's going to look kind of bad because we have, no real animations for that. But that's okay. Alright, so now we need to fill out the animations for when we're actually in the air. So how exactly are we going to have this work? Because the animations that he's got here, we've got rising for stationary and hang and all that. They don't loop. So we've got these fall anims and everything. So they're just gonna look bad is what it's gonna be. We'll play the right animations, but it'll look bad. So we have rising, we have hanging, and we have falling. So we need to figure out when we are rising, when we're hanging, and when we're falling. And then we need to figure out, so those are hang, rise, rise. Excuse me. So we need to actually update this thing every single time as well. So I think we're going to need an animation name here. So we will definitely need a function called get animation. Or should we even have a function? Why don't we just try writing it first? This is going to be in post update. So let's see what we've got in post update. Alright, so we've got get velocity, which is going to be our vector. So we're going to call, like, let's see, get movement. Alright, so we're going to call get velocity. I think we need so we're going to need to get the animation name. So we're going to need a variable for like our velocity mag. No, we're going to use the y. So okay, we can just delete that. Okay, so we need to know if we're rise, hang, or fall. Okay, so if our it's going to be our z, the absolute, yeah, okay, so if our z, actually we're going to need this. Why don't we have our three variables here, which is our hang threshold, and let's make that a float. Let's set it to, like, this is going to be our velocity. So velocity is pretty big. So for our hang, it should basically be maybe, you know, like 500. So like half a meter per second is quote unquote hang. So what we want is the absolute value of the, let's see, can I break this thing? Split the structure? Yeah, okay, so here we go. So we'll get the velocity, and if the velocity z absolute value is less than or equal to the hang threshold, then we are hanging. And if the z is less than, the other condition is going to be if the z is less than 0. So we want a, so if the z is less than 0 is going to be this other one. So it's going to be, this is an if-else gate that I put together. Basically, if the first condition is true, it's going to go here. If the second condition is true, it goes here. And if the third condition is true, which is neither condition, it'll go out that way. So this is going to be hanging. And then we're going to have rising, and we'll also have falling. Alright, so if we're hanging, we want to grab our velocities and do that same trick we already had there. Okay, so we need the first value. The first value is going to be it's going to be the y, the absolute value, like so. Two, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so the animation name is going to be based off of those. So let's go ahead and create a variable which we're going to call anim name. It needs to be a string. Let's see, how many hangs do we have? We've got stationary, trot, run. So this is stationary hang. We've got trot hang, and we've got run hang. Alright, so if there's no output, stationary. If we're walking, stationary. If we are... No, this... Alright, yeah, so that's walking. If we're trotting, we'll do that one. Otherwise, run for everything else. Alright, so that's kind of a function right there that we can do. So I do want to put this into a function. I'm going to call it get animation, or get animation name. And what we're going to want to do is basically cut all of this stuff plus this and paste it into here. And we're going to delete this anim name from here, and what we're going to do is add a local variable called anim name. So this should help us out. And then we're gonna want an output, which is going to be animation name. And that's going to be a boolean string. So let's go ahead and throw that over here. Put a get on it, and we'll chunk that out when we get there. So this is if we're hanging. If we are, this is less than 0 for this condition, so it'll be falling, and this will be rising. Alright, so this was stationary hang, trot hang, and run hang. Alright, so we got that going on. So we should do the same thing for the rest of these guys. Alright, so this is going to be rising. So let's copy this down here. Alright, so this is rising. Okay, I'm looking at them. There's stationary rising. Stationary rising. There is trot rise. Trot rise. And then run rising. Yeah, it's always good to have inconsistent names. And then for falling, let's see, we've also got landing. I'm not sure we really need land though. It might be difficult to implement and it might also not look right. I'm gonna write that down about things I want to talk to Adam about. Talk about the landing animation. Because in their current form, the landing animations, I mean, the only thing is we'd want the landing animation to, you would have to go like straight into running. You know, it's not like it would be like you've actually just hit the ground, and then you should just like be running while this landing animation plays, so it should be, you know, seamless or whatever. So I'll have to make sure that we have the same thing in our brain for how it works, otherwise I'll have to, we'll think about it. Because if he had like kind of a clunky landing animation, right, where he has to play his landing animation when he lands, and like it has to play as he's starting to land, like if you think about it, if there was a platform you're landing on, you'd have to like start the landing animation before you get there, and then it has to like finish. So like the landing animation percent would have to be based on how close you are to actually landing. So if you're like coming down real fast to hit a platform, you would actually go from like not landing to landing over that time, and it would be the distance. I don't know, it would be kind of odd. Because then if you're landing on a platform and like the platform was moving away from you, you wouldn't want the animation to play all the way out to you like landing until you actually got, you know, it'd be weird. Just describing it is not simple, so you know it's a pain in the ass to deal with. Alright, so this is the falling animation. Alright, so let's look at what falling we have. We've got stationary fall. We've got trot fall. And run fall. I don't see any other falling animations. So let's just hook up playing the animation. Just like that. That's all we have to do. Alright, so we should have everything except for landing now. So let's see what that looks like. That doesn't look correct to me. Like, we should be using the stationary hang. So let's see, the get animation name method. We're taking the absolute value of the y, which is our left and right, and that's what we're doing for the speeds. Well, I guess what I'll do here is I'm actually just gonna log this thing out like so. Alright, access none trying to read property parent from function, get animation from node, threshold multigate 5, get animation name with description, access none trying to read parent. What? Oh, parent doesn't exist? Oh, well that's because this initialization logic here is messed up. We need to call our parent initialize method, which is actually gonna hook everything up. Well, that's why things wouldn't be working. So he's starting to look a lot cooler, right? Like that looks much more like a smooth jump. And of course the land is not there. So let's think about the land real quick. How do I want the land to look? Well, I would like the land to just be the animation that he plays when he's on the ground. So this would just be an animation he plays to go into his other animation next. So what we would want to do is basically yeah, even a little Antic. He's like, ah, jeez, jumping is so difficult. Or he jumps and lands, and he's like, did anyone see that jump? Did anyone see that? That was pretty cool. So we want these landing animations here. They're just one frame or whatever. But basically how we'd want this to play out is we want the animation to play once. And then it needs to go into the whatever animation for running or whatever, right? So what we want is our on exit of this state, I think. Down here, it needs to interrupt the current one and get a landing animation for it. So I think basically, can we duplicate this? Yeah, okay, we'll call it get landing animation. Name. So you basically delete everything inside of here, and you can clean this up a little bit. Alright, so this one's going to be stationary land. We've got trot land. We've got run land. Trot land. Sounds like something Hat Films would like, or not like. Alright, so we've got this get landing animation name. And we're going to do the same if our stuff is not locked. Well, here's the question. We don't actually know right here if we are landing or not. But we can assume we are. And we can fix this shit later if that's not true. Because we could be going from like if we're exiting this state, what we want to know is what our next state's going to be and all that. And if our next state is, if we're like stunned or something, we don't want to play the landing animation. But then again, this animation locked should actually tell us if that's there. So we'll just do it this way. And we're calling we want get landing animation name. So like this. And we do want to interrupt, and we don't want it to loop, and the duration should be like, you know, we'll put it at 10 frames. Actually, let's put it at less than 10 frames. Let's put it at, you know, like 5 frames of land. Okay, what we need to do is we need to somehow notify our other states that they should hang on until this thing is finished running its current animation. So like we could tell the animation controller like, hey, you know, we're playing the landing animation, so just wait until this thing is finished and then go. So maybe we want a variable on here, and we want to set it like landing playing, and we'll go ahead and set that to false to start with. So this byte in air state is going to actually call parent. Let's say set landing. I'll set it to true. And let's also make sure that we set it to false whenever we enter this state. No, this is not the correct way. Actually, this is the correct way. Yeah, we'll set it to false here to start with, you know. And what we want to do is go into so let's go into these states, and why don't we do the stationary state to start with. So we want what should actually unset the flag? Like, I could bind to an animation event for end and just wait for it to be called and then do it, but that's going to happen in the end frame. I think the movement controller should basically have in its update because we're doing this in post update. Alright, so for the Bitey movement controller inside of its post update, like, we've got this state stuff happening right here. So if landing is playing, I mean, we pretty much want not only landing to be playing, but the landing animation ID. So we can actually get rid of landing play. I mean, not get rid of it, but turn it into an integer. So we'll get that. Set it to -1. Otherwise, we're gonna need get animation ID by name. We're going to set it right there. So basically, if this thing equals false and all that. All right. What was it called? Landing playing? Let's compile it. Alright, so that fixed that compile error, is what it looks like. Alright, so what we want is equals int. How about a not equal? Alright, so if landing playing does not equal -1, then what we're going to do is we're going to what is it, current state? Alright, so we're going to have another not equal. Just like how these blueprints are just, you know, you write code, you know, like top to bottom. Is the game finished yet? No, it's not finished yet. Are you still up? What is this pissed about? Can't pass a literal to a return value. Connect the variable to a pin instead. Fine. Well, I can show you what we've been working on here. Look at that smooth animation there. He actually jumps. And all that. And of course, you know, we have the other jump animations that aren't there, but this one's getting there. And I'm getting the land going right now. So it'll, yeah, oh shit. And I also made it so, you know, Bitey can do random animations when he's just sitting around. Like he can play one more animation. So we'll wait. Come on, Bitey, play the damned animation, you stupid bastard. I've had enough. He's got a 10% chance of playing it, but he just doesn't want to play it. No, he just doesn't want to do it. That 10%, he just doesn't want to do it because of that 10%. There he goes. There it was. There was the 10%. Anyway, so yeah, one of the questions I did have for you, which is the landing animation. So I was thinking the landing animation would be the animation where he's already hit the ground, as opposed to expecting to hit the ground. The reason for that is we'd have to do some weird other logic. Like there's kind of two ways. Either the landing animation is he hit the ground and then, you know, like show him, you know, doing his thing. The other thing that could be is an expecting to land. And in expecting to land, I'm not sure exactly the right way to show that on the screen. Like, if we have, you know, something like this where we've got the floor right here, we got Bitey approaching the floor, then like we could take the distance that he is from that and be like, okay, well, it's going to be on, frame 0 of the land, and it's going to be on frame 10 when it's there, and it's going to be by distance. So like if this platform was moving down, then this would take longer to play as he falls and hits it, and if it went away, his expected animation would actually play in reverse or something. But that's kind of weird and complicated. Yeah, I've got it set for 5 frames right now in terms of playtime. But yeah. So okay, that makes sense. It'll just be a couple frames when he actually hits the deck. So I'm working on getting that to play. Yeah, just a touchdown sort of thing, so that's kind of what I was doing there. Right now, this animation is 10 frames, so, and it looks smooth and all that, but it's not as responsive as I think I would like. So I would say the jump animation probably doesn't need to be 10 frames. It can be like 5 frames or something. But you could play around with that now. Once I'm done, and I'll check it in when I'm done. So maybe tomorrow or whenever if you feel like playing with it, it'll be ready. It is 12 frames? Or are you talking about the actual the jump anim? Oh, it's called Spring, that's right. This one's 10 frames.